Our eyes first fall on an act of horror, a massacre in the middle of a war. A red-haired teenage girl is walking with a blue-haired child, hand in hand, and they are stunned at the scene surrounding them. The older one breaks down before being carried with the other one, by an older man, to safety. We jump forward into the future a little bit, as the red-haired girl, who is called Vi, and the blue-haired girl, who is called Powder, alongside two other young boys, are working on a heist. Some of them are not sure about the destination, but the need overcomes the want in this situation. The gang enters the place they are supposed to rob, and from the looks of it, it belonged to an inventor of some sorts. They got through his stuff, trying to pick the most valuable of things, and Powder finds interesting-looking gems. However, unbeknownst to them, someone tries to enter the house, and in the gang's hurry to run away, Powder drops one of the gems that has an insane reaction and explodes a chunk of the place. The police, or enforcers as the gang calls them, notice their presence, and a chase scene begins that ends with the gang managing to run away successfully. Except there is some asshole named Deckard and his gang that wants to fleece Vi and Powder out of their successful heist. They fight, and Vi's gang defeats Deckard. Powder, on the other hand, ran away from the violence with someone from Deckard's gang chasing her. She couldn't fight him off, so she threw her load down the river and regrouped with Vi. Milo berates Powder for jinxing the job, and Vi tells him to drop it as they work their way through an underground city. We are then transported into a bar in the underground city where Vander, the guy who saved the two children in the beginning, schools some traders trying to fleece a poor man out of his money and notices the gang's arrival. Vander talks to Vi about responsibility and how the kids look up to her so she doesn't get to be selfish and put them all in danger. She hesitantly agrees, and Vander then moves to have a word with their informant. Powder finds one of the gems still in her pocket and goes to tell Vi only to see Milo berating her in front of Vi, and Vi agreeing with him. Of course, Powder comically leaves the scene before she hears the entire conversation and hears how Vi turns it around on Milo and defends Powder. Vander, on the other hand, meets with an old friend in the Undercity and talks about the recent events before being paid a surprise visit by some enforcers. We find out that he has some kind of history with the eldest one, and she tells him that the place that exploded was important and the upper side wants someone to put the blame on, but Vander refuses to snitch on his people. Back at the bar, Vi has a word with Powder and basically reassures her by showing her how everyone in the gang had their bad days and that she is stronger than Milo thinks. Powder shows her the gems that she pocketed, and Vi tells her this is going to be their little secret. The scene changes into an underwater laboratory of some kind with that asshole Deckard tied up and being questioned by a disfigured individual that appears to be his boss. He dismisses him and asks his scientist if what they are creating is close to completion. They test it on a rat and it transforms into some kind of beast and mauls a nearby cat. The next episode starts with a little shift in perspective, as we see what happened to the owner of the apartment that the gang stole from. His name is Jace, and the explosion knocked him out and made him remember things from his childhood, particularly an event where he and his mother were struggling in a snowstorm, and some kind of mage strolls through and saves them by turning the weather into a little crystal that he shares with an amused Jace. Jace wakes up and is now being interrogated by the enforcers, who confront him about his illegal possessions, and then arrest him. In prison, Jace meets with an older professor by the name of Heimerdinger, and he talks about his experiments to use science to control magic, which is known as the Arcane in this universe. The professor tells him to drop these delusions and move on. Chaos is everywhere, as enforcers wreck shit in the underground and terrorize the people, while the elites in the upper city squabble over the events and think of a way to punish Jace. The underground folk talk to Vander about striking the enforcers back, but Vander holds them off and gets called weak over it. Jace is being judged before the council and he breaks under pressure and reveals the extent of his experiments. Knowing how magic can destroy societies if it is wielded in the wrong hands, the council tries to banish him for his actions. Only his mother's words, pleading insanity for her child, that the council resorts to a lesser punishment of removing him from the academy. We then see the eerie, disfigured dude convince Deckard into taking the experimental substance that turned a rat into a monster with a speech about real power and how to obtain it. Deckard seems motivated enough and drinks the substance while writhing in pain. The council is reprimanding the enforcers and informing them that they have to turn the Undercity upside down if they have to, because the people are afraid of the mention of magic. The enforcers then go to Vander's place and intimidate him while searching for the kids, but they come up short yet again. Vander talks to Vi about the uselessness of war and how there are no winners during a heated debate between the two. We then cut to Jace being approached by someone from the academy who is intrigued by his research and wants to help him complete it. He tells him his name is Victor. A message reaches the enforcers about the culprit, and we see them go to an abandoned place with Vi waiting for them there. She looks to have done this behind Vander's back and said her last goodbyes to Powder. The door opens up, however, and it is actually Vander who found her before the enforcers did. He tells her he is proud of her, and has her promise to keep the family safe before he locks her up in a room and takes her place for the arrest. As the enforcers take him away, the disfigured man shows up and kills them all using the now mutated Deckard. Vander watches as his old friend gets taken out, and we learn the man's name is Silco. Mutated Deckard then beats the shit out of Vander and takes him away with Silco, all while Vi watches from the locked basement she is in. Victor and Jace, on the other hand, figure out that they need the crystals that were in the lab and think they are in Professor Heimerdinger's possessions, so they plan to rob the place and complete the experiment. We then cut to Silco talking with Vander about their history and their shared vision for the Undercity. We learn the experimental drug's name is Shimmer, and that Vander was his brother, but he betrayed him and gave him that disfigurement on his face. He tries to see if he can bring the once feared Vander out again after losing respect for him, but he finds himself possibly resorting to Shimmer in the end. Victor and Jace try to break into the professor's lab only to be found out by the counselor Medarda. They plead with her to give them a chance, but she already made up her mind, and she tells them that they have one night and she hopes to be impressed. Vi comes back to the bar to break the news about Benzo and Vander to the gang and tells them how she is going to go and rescue Vander. The boys want to stick with her and help her. Even Powder gets ready, but Vi is scared for her little sister and has an emotional moment with her as she leaves her behind while they risk themselves. Victor and Jace are moving on with their little experiment, and they are close to success, while a crying Powder realizes the powers of the crystals and hopes to save everyone. Victor and Jace's experiments show incredible success, while Vi and the gang find Vander and start breaking him out, but Silco finds them, and Vi is forced to fight the thugs. This is happening while Powder is sneaking into the place. Vi easily defeats the run-of-the-mill thugs, but a mutated Deckard poses another level of threat, so she closes the door on her, Vander, and the gang. Back to Victor and Jace. The Academy is knocking down their door and opening it up as soon as the experiment reaches its conclusion with a resounding success. Powder, on the other hand, uses one of her bombs with the crystals inside, and it works, but maybe a little too much. The blast sent her flying, killed Milo, Clagger, almost everyone in Silco's vicinity, and knocked everyone else except the mutated one and some thugs. Silco orders them to kill Vander and the kids, but Vander fights back. It was no use, however, as Silco backstabs him while he is distracted. Vander tries to choke him out, but Silco stabs him again, killing him, or so he thinks. Vander is still alive and is holding one of the Shimmer vials. He injects it and becomes a monster to defeat the mutated thug. He moves to attack Silco, but instead saves an incapacitated Vi, dying in her arms after telling her to take care of Powder. Powder tries to tell Vi how her bombs worked, but Vi shows her the results and starts getting angry. Powder breaks down crying, saying she only wanted to help, but Vi wanted her to stay away, and she slaps her hard. Then, in a moment of pure anger without any thoughts, she tells Powder that she is a jinx, and that Milo was right, breaking her heart. Vi leaves her sister alone and crying in an alley surrounded by her dead family. And for that negligence, Silco finds Powder while holding a bloody knife. Vi sees this and tries to help her, but one of the enforcers gives her sleeping gas while telling her to stop before she gets herself killed. Silco asks where her sister is, and Powder tells him that she left her and she is not her sister anymore. Silco is reminded of his relationship with Vander and hugs Powder, telling her it is all okay. As Season 2 of Arcane draws closer, we thought to look back on the first season with all of you. These first 3 episodes conclude what fans call the first act of the season. I found it well written with a lot of interconnectedness of plot point and story arcs. With what we saw so far, Vi is in the wrong in my opinion, but we will see how it plays out. Well, this brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. And tell me, what do you think of the first 3 episodes? Do you want us to cover the rest? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.